the scheming woman sprayed herself with 3 bottles of perfume, just to cover up the cheap jasmine scent on her body, hoping to win over the domineering CEO she admired. But the moment she stepped forward, the CEO immediately started sneezing uncontrollably. Every time she got closer, his sneezing only got worse, until he was on the verge of suffocation. Desperate, the CEO ordered her to stop, forbidding her from taking another step toward him. The scheming woman never expected that the very scent she despised the most was the exact reason the CEO wanted to marry her. 1 week ago, the CEO, after a night of drinking, had an unexpected encounter with a mysterious woman. When he woke up the next morning, all that was left was a medical report. Determined to find her, he tracked down her home. The moment he smelled that familiar jasmine fragrance, he was convinced she was the woman from that night. What he didn't know was that the scheming woman wasn't the one he was looking for. The real person was actually her roommate, her best friend. That was why the room carried the scent of jasmine he remembered so well. But instead of telling the truth, the scheming woman shamelessly took advantage of the misunderstanding and lied, claiming that she was the woman from that night. To avoid raising suspicion, she didn't even pack her things. She just followed the CEO straight to his villa. When she stepped inside the luxurious 800 square meter mansion and saw the unlimited black card in her hand, her resolve to replace her best friend and become the CEO's wife only grew stronger. So when her clueless best friend returned home, the scheming woman had already vanished without a trace. Her best friend, knowing she had crossed paths with her boss that night, was terrified that he would recognize her and cost her the hard-earned job she desperately needed. To avoid being discovered, she deliberately disguised herself as unattractive when she went to work. Thankfully, the CEO didn't recognize her, but the scent of jasmine on her body and the familiar feeling she gave him still made him see her as someone special, so much so that he promoted her to be his personal assistant. However, their frequent interactions soon made the scheming woman jealous, determined to eliminate her best friend completely. The next day, she lured the unsuspecting woman to a dimly lit nightclub, pretending to be a caring friend. She claimed she was introducing her to a potential boyfriend, but in reality, she was setting her up. As long as her best friend was tainted, the CEO would surely despise her, and she could take her place, becoming the CEO's wife without any obstacles. Watching as her best friend was forcefully dragged away, the woman finally had enough. She turned to leave, but the scheming woman stopped her once again, then excused herself, pretending to go to the restroom. As soon as she was gone, the strange man couldn't wait any longer and reached out to grab the woman's hand. Sensing that something was wrong, she immediately broke free and ran. But in the next second, she crashed straight into the CEO's arms. With a powerful stance, the CEO shielded her behind him, not allowing the man to come any closer. The woman never expected that the man would suddenly claim to be her husband. He even listed all of her personal details, and his phone was filled with pictures of her. Anyone else would have believed his words without question, but when the CEO saw the desperate plea in her eyes, he firmly chose to trust her instead. Enraged, the man grabbed a wine bottle and hurled it toward them. At that critical moment, the woman didn't even think. She instinctively threw herself forward to take the hit, realizing that the situation had gotten out of control. The man panicked and fled. Meanwhile, the CEO swiftly picked the woman up in his arms.